Tonight I'm doing Pluto in Aquarius in the 11th house, and this can be looked at as a transit or your Pluto placement being in the 11th house or in Aquarius, or you can also look at this as solar return, so it's useful in innumerable ways. So here goes, next slide. So let me deal with this. Okay, so Pluto in evolutionary astrology, it relates to the soul and the soul's underlying evolutionary desires. It is the depth of our unconscious and out of our awareness. And we can see that we may repeat unwanted patterns or experience the same repeating life issues. So we can see that generally through life. As we go through life, we can see that there are these patterns because generally we're conditioned as children and we carry that into our adult lives. But in evolutionary astrology, with our Pluto placement and the nodes, the North Node, South Node, we're coming in with stuff that needs to be cleaned up. So that can be repeating life issues also. Our Pluto placement and our transit, it holds information that when understood can smooth our passage through time. So it's a way of objectifying and seeing the bigger picture. When we look at a chart, we're able to pick up on certain things, and then we're able to objectify in such a way that we can begin to evolve the hardships that we've had and placements, we can see clearly as well. So knowing our own Pluto placement and our chart helps us, I've already said, but it will help us to objectify and look at our life and know ourselves. The transit and our solar returns and our aspects to Pluto, aspects are the lines that we see in a chart. If you've never looked at an astrology chart before, I'm going to show you. So the aspects to Pluto show us what is being reborn and what is dying or stale, and what needs to be changed or released. It's looking to see what needs to end to allow for rebirth and for regeneration to occur in our lives. And through life, some of us, but many of us, I have myself experienced dark nights of the soul, and this is the door to the deeper self. Our life experiences need to be examined so that any wounding or painful events can be thought out, which allows for a rebirth to occur. And we are here to live fully with an open heart and explore the world and to transform and transmute that which holds us back. I think we all agree with that. At least I do anyway, I know from going through my own transits and Pluto. Big question is, why am I here? Now, at some point, you know, we might ask that when we're little, but we don't really understand what we're asking. But as we evolve and we go through life and we have hardships and crises, that question can become more, you know, a regular thing. With like, why am I here? What am I doing here? And evolutionary astrology allows us to see what's going on, allows us to see what's going on so that we can evolve. And here, what we have is, I have my solar return. I was born on the 21st of May, and you can see here a solar return. And a solar return chart is basically showing you what your birth time, your birthday, if that makes sense, your birthday. I'm just looking for my pointer here. Okay, so what you can see is that you've got the solar return and the date there. So this will run for the year ahead. This is where the planets fell on my birthday, and this will show the flavor of my year, so to speak, or the energies that are at play. So you can see there that the North Node is in Cancer near my MC, and then we've got Mars in the 9th house. So all of these planets playing out show what's going on for me. And you can see here that Pluto has fallen in my 4th house. So I'm going through a transformation and a releasing of, you know, long-held beliefs and things that have happened in my life. My natal chart, which I have, I am a 9th house Pluto conjunct Uranus, and it's on the MC. And this basically natal chart, you can see there where my pointer is. Pluto was there when I was born. Pluto takes about 245 years to orbit a chart. The sun takes a year, and the moon takes like 28 days, as an example. So Pluto has moved since I was born in 1966 from there to here. And at the moment, we can see that we've got Pluto, the South Node, and Saturn all in Capricorn, and that's for the whole of humanity at the moment, that those symbols are in Capricorn. Tomorrow we have a solar eclipse, which is in Cancer. The solar eclipse is falling in Cancer. So it's just interesting to understand what transits are. So let me see. Next page here. Okay, so a natal chart, it represents our potential. It represents what we have, where we have been and where we are at and what we can become. And Pluto works in 3 ways in our chart. It can be, number 1, cataclysmic due to resistance. So what we resist persists and then it becomes a problem. We got 2, willing to change in some ways and resisting in other ways out of fear of uncertainty. So we all tend to operate in that way with some things. And then 3, we jump into it with one's heart and soul with a desire to understand and learn to eliminate resistance. And we have free will, and knowing this means we get to make choices. It is important that we look at the totality of a chart, and in evolutionary astrology, the baseline will be Pluto and the North Node and the South Node. So that's worth knowing. Next slide. So here we have I'm going to read to you, Aquarius, Pluto Aquarius, or in the 11th house, because the 11th house is, if we synthesize, the 11th house is Aquarius ruled by Uranus, and we're talking about Aquarius here. So you can look at this as your solar return, your natal placement, and also your, you can look at it in progressions for all sorts of things. Here we've got Pluto. Here is where we sever all attachments that bind one from further growth. The severing of attachments accelerates growth in us. One may feel restricted by one's reality and cramped. The sense of being restricted will create inner compression in one's consciousness. Compression forces open one's consciousness. The wish and desire is for individuation. During this period, all that has been repressed, including past life memories and the future, comes to the forefront. All is coming to the surface to allow the individual the required freedom from the past and the now that binds them. This is a time of freedom from consensus reality. Here one will detach at regular intervals and will have that need and desire deep within. Alone time is required so that one can objectify and have the space and time to view the dynamics that have led to this time. When one detaches, they can survey their life, and this time allows for dispassionate analysis to occur. One can feel insecure with regard to future thoughts and where impulses may lead. One may feel they have no control over their impulses, a feeling that impulses have a life of their own. It is a good time to monitor repetition and only go toward actualizing those thoughts that keep repeating themselves. The monitoring of external messages from others may also point to the future. Others are external guideposts and others can validate us. The inner and outer conditions of anything concerning the past will need to be confronted here in order to be free. Next page. There. So due to circumstances, one may have sudden clashes with friends or others, also karmic in nature, that have not been resolved. There will be opportunity for resolution, so one can feel free of karma. Confrontations allow for resolution. And during this time, we can terminate that which is unresolvable and where one is being held back from further growth. If one senses a natural parting of ways, then it is good to end on good terms. It will be important to nurture relationships with those that allow and encourage one's growth to be oneself. Where others allow for one to objectify and where individuation is being encouraged. The needed ending of some relationships allow for new relationships to come in. This period of time is about an evolutionary leap. Others who have walked this path can assist in helping to reconcile the events taking place. Validation from others on the path will allow for freedom from the past and assist in the shedding of all that presents necessary growth. There may be a drawing of others who have the same needs. Some restlessness may occur inwardly. This is also a time to encourage others' individuation and their growth needs. If this means termination, then so be it. One has to look here. It is important to not let others restrict one's growth needs, but also not to restrict others. It is best to terminate on a good note as not to create negative karma. a time of termination of what binds one to the past, a time to follow future-orientated internal and external messages that are repetitive, which allow for one's own large-scale evolutionary changes. So that's what the soul is trying to do with Pluto in Aquarius or in the 11th house. And then I've got here, I love this. This is Uganda, and I love this saying. He says, mankind is engaged in an eternal quest for that something else he hopes will bring him happiness, complete and unending. For those individual souls who have sought and found God, the search is over. He is that something else. And that will mean different things to different people. I feel that there's no separation to me. I look at the flowers and the trees and nature, and I know that I'm part of that. The planets, everything's moving together and working together. There is no separation ultimately. And here we have Carl Jung. He passed in 1961. He's personally my most favorite person that lived on this planet. For me, I've learned a lot through reading his work, and I feel a place in my heart for Carl Jung. So he says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And another saying, what you resist not only persists, but it will grow in size. So we can see Pluto like that, you know, and he says resistance determines the magnitude of our problems or confrontations. I don't know if Carl Jung said that one, but definitely the other two. So the source material here was from Jeff Wolf Green, Pluto, Volume 1, The Evolutionary Journey of the Soul. And I've got a few of the Carl Gustav Jung's various quotes, and then the Uganda, and then the pictures I got from Google, just so you know. And if you want a reading with me, that's my email, or you can check me out on social media. My links will be below. I'm on Facebook, and I also look at trauma as well, complex PTSD. I'm basically do that from my own wisdom and having worked on that through my own life.